Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be showing how to diagnose and repair Audi A4 B5 immobilizer problems. So you take your keys, put it in the ignition, turn it on, and your immobilizer light should go off. If it starts blinking, it means there's something wrong with the immobilizer. Basically, the car does not recognize the key. And when you try to start the car, it starts but shuts after 2 seconds. Disconnect your battery for a few seconds. So let's pop the hood. To avoid any shorts, take off the negative lead. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And put it back on. It will allow the car to start. If you turn the key, you see the light will go off. Yep, and now you can start the car. The problem with this is that whenever you turn the car off, you will need to unplug the battery again because the immobilizer is active again. To explain it better to you how the immobilizer works and to get to the essential parts, I will need to strip the steering column. Before you start tearing your car apart, try starting it with different keys if you have multiple ones. It might be the transponder chip in the key that is faulty. Let's start from the wheel. Before you start, make sure to unplug the battery. To take off the steering wheel, first of all you need to take off the airbag. So there are 2 screws on both sides of the wheel. Take a number 6 Allen key and undo them. And those screws will stay in the steering wheel, they will not fall out. Right now, lift off the airbag. There is one plug, which you just take a flathead screwdriver, pry it off. Now let's take the top cover of the steering wheel column, this one. To take it off, we need to undo 3 screws. One here, Phillips screwdriver, another one is on the other side, as well, as you can see, as well Phillips screwdriver. And there is one more star-shaped screw. It's a number 25 star-shaped bit. Pull out your wheel. It's much easier to take off the covers. Phillips screwdriver. Unplug the cables going to the steering wheel. There are 2 plugs. It's this one and this one. Grab a number 25 star-shaped bit and undo those 4 screws. There are 4 springs behind this metal part in these places. Be careful when you take it off not to lose the springs. Unplug this cable. And unplug the cable here. As you can see, these are the springs to be careful about. We are almost there with the wheel. Take a 24mm socket and unscrew the wheel itself. Before you take your steering wheel off, make sure to turn your wheel straight and mark the original location of the steering wheel. Then simply pull it off. Let's continue with the bottom steering column cover. There are 3 screws here, Phillips screwdriver, and here's supposed to be 1 screw, but it's missing in this car. Release the steering wheel adjustment lever and your cover will go off. And finally, let's take this cover off. Grab a 8mm socket, and there are 3 screws. The first one is right in here. The second one is here, and the third one is under the fuses cover. And that's the 3rd screw. Simply pull it out. So how does the immobilizer work on these cars? Well, every key has a transponder chip, a unique transponder chip in it. Which is located right here, like this little piece. The rest of this is just a flashlight. And when you put your key in the ignition, the induction ring recognizes the transponder chip in the key and sends signal to the immobilizer controlling block, which is located underneath right here, this white box. To make things easier, I will unscrew the immobilizer control block. The most common problem with these immobilizers is loose connections. So make sure to check the induction ring connection right here with the 2 cables, unplug it, clean it, as well as the connector here. Unfortunately, in this car's case, it's the control block that is faulty. So I will need to go around it. I will need to bypass it by replacing the control block with an emulator. This is an immobilizer emulator. which can be purchased using the link down in the description. In order to install the emulator, we'll need to do some soldering. So first of all, let's unplug the original control block. It's not that easy to do with one hand. Let's open the box. Pull out the chip. We'll need to cut off these connections, because this is where we're gonna solder the emulator. We will only need the pins 12, 11, 10 and 9. So basically from this side, it would be this one, this one, this one and that. Now as you can see, I cut off the pins I'm not gonna be using, and we only have these four. First one is the ignition pin with the power, the second one is ground, third one is diagnostics, and the fourth one goes to the ECU. And the corresponding wire is here. Black one is the ignition with the power, the brown one is the ground, the red and green is the diagnostics, and the red and black is the ECU. On the emulator, there are three holes that we are going to use, these ones. The first one is ground, the middle one is the key line, which is going to be the ECU and the diagnostic lines short together, and finally that's the power one, the third one. I recommend to prepare a little piece of a cable to short the diagnostics and ECU lines together. So those two pins are now joined with this one cable. So let's put the emulator on. So it's soldered all nicely. Let's just straighten it up. Perfect. And put it back in the original immobilizer housing. Now we can go and plug it back in. So I went ahead and assembled the steering column back together and plugged the battery in. Now let's try. When you turn the ignition on, you will realize that the immobilizer light doesn't turn on. This is because the cable responsible for the light is not soldered to the emulator. And when you try to start the car, it starts right on. You can turn it off, start it again. The immobilizer problem is solved. Please like this video and subscribe for more.